Peace be with you, my dear friend. We are going to read the book Esoteric Treatise of Hermetic Astrology by Samael Aun Weor. Chapter 1, Aries. There are 4 states of consciousness that are possible for man: sleep, vigil consciousness, self-consciousness, and objective consciousness. Imagine for a moment, dear reader, a house with 4 floors. The poor intellectual animal mistakenly called man normally lives on the 2 lower floors, but never in life does he use the 2 superior floors. The intellectual animal divides his painful and miserable life between run-of-the-mill sleep and the improperly called vigil state, which unfortunately is another form of sleep. While the physical body sleeps in bed, the ego, enveloped in its lunar bodies, goes around with the consciousness asleep like a somnambulist moving freely in the molecular region. In the molecular region, the ego projects dreams and lives in them. No logic, continuity, causes, or effects whatsoever exist in its dreams. All psychic functions work without direction whatsoever, and subjective images, incoherent, vague, imprecise scenes, etc., appear and disappear. When the ego enveloped in its lunar bodies returns to the physical body, then follows the second state of consciousness called vigil state, which is after all nothing else but another form of sleep. When the ego returns to its physical body, the dreams continue in the interior. The so-called vigil state is really dreaming while awake. When the sun rises, the stars are hidden, but they do not cease to exist. This is how dreams are in the vigil state. They continue secretly, they do not cease to exist. This means that the intellectual animal mistakenly called man only lives in the world of dreams. Justly did the poet say that life is a dream. The rational animal drives cars dreaming, he works in the factory, in the office, in the farm, etc., dreaming, he falls in love dreaming, he marries dreaming. Rarely, very rarely in life is he awake. He lives in a world of dreams and firmly believes that he is awake. The 4 Gospels demand awakening, but unfortunately, they do not say how to awaken. Before all else, it is necessary to comprehend that one is asleep. It is only when someone fully realizes that he is asleep that he really enters the path of awakening. Whoever manages to awaken then becomes self-conscious, acquires consciousness of himself. The most serious error of many ignorant pseudo-esoterists and pseudo-occultists is that of presuming of being self-conscious and to believe, moreover, that everyone is awake, that all people possess self-consciousness. If we want to arrive at the awakening of consciousness, at self-consciousness, we have to work with the consciousness here and now. It is precisely here in this physical world where we should work to awaken consciousness. Whoever awakens here awakens everywhere, in all the dimensions of the universe. The human organism is a living zodiac, and in each of its 12 constellations, the consciousness sleeps profoundly. It is urgent to awaken consciousness in each of the 12 parts of the human organism, and that is the purpose of the zodiacal exercises. Aries governs the head, Taurus, the throat, Gemini, the arms, legs and lungs, Cancer, the thymus gland, Leo, the heart, Virgo, the abdomen, the intestines, Libra, the kidneys, Scorpio, the sexual organs, Sagittarius, the major femoral arteries, Capricorn, the knees, Aquarius, the calves, the feet. It is really lamentable that this living zodiac of man, the microcosm, sleeps so profoundly. On the basis of tremendous super efforts, it becomes indispensable to achieve the awakening of consciousness in each of our 12 zodiacal signs. Light and consciousness are 2 phenomena of a same thing. To a lesser degree of consciousness corresponds a lesser degree of light. To a greater degree of consciousness, a greater degree of light. We need to awaken consciousness in order to cause each of the 12 parts of our own microcosmic zodiac to shine and sparkle. Our entire zodiac should become light and splendor. The work with our own zodiac begins precisely with Aries. The disciple should sit in a comfortable armchair with the mind still and in silence, empty of all kinds of thoughts. The devotee should close his eyes in order that nothing of the world distract him. Imagine that the very pure light of Aries floods the cerebrum. He should remain in that state of meditation all the time he wants, and then he will sing the powerful mantram Om by opening the mouth properly with the Ah, rounding it with the O, and closing it with the holy M. The powerful mantram Om is in itself a terribly divine creation because it attracts the forces of the very beloved Father, of the very adored Son, and of the very wise Holy Spirit. The vowel A attracts the forces of the Father, the vowel O attracts the forces of the Son, the vowel M attracts the forces of the Holy Spirit. Aum is a powerful logoic mantram. The devotee should sing this powerful mantram 4 times during this exercise of Aries, and then, standing up towards the east, he will extend his right arm forward, moving his head forward 7 times backwards, turning it 7 times towards the right, turning it 7 times towards the left, with the intention that the light of Aries will work within the cerebrum, awakening the pineal and pituitary glands, which permit us the perception of the superior dimensions of space. It is urgent for the light of Aries to develop within our cerebrum, awakening our consciousness, developing the secret powers contained in the pituitary and pineal glands. Aries is the symbol of Ra, Rama, the Lamb. By properly singing the powerful mantram Ra, it causes the spinal fires and the 7 magnetic centers of the dorsal spine to vibrate. Aries is a zodiacal sign of fire. It possesses a formidable energy, and man, the microcosm, captures it in accordance with his manner of thinking, feeling, and acting. Hitler, who was a native of Aries, utilized this type of energy in a destructive manner. Nonetheless, we should recognize that in the beginning, before committing the craziness of launching humanity to the Second World War, he utilized the energy of Aries in a constructive manner, elevating the level of living of the German people. Through direct experience, we have been able to verify that the natives of Aries quarrel frequently with their spouse. The natives of Aries have a marked tendency to argue. They are very quarrelsome by nature. The natives of Aries feel capable of embarking on great enterprises and carrying them to a good conclusion. There exists in the natives of Aries the serious defect of wanting to always utilize willpower in an egotistical manner, Hitler style, in an antisocial and destructive manner. The natives of Aries like independent living, but many of them prefer the military, and in the latter, there is no independence. Pride, self-confidence, ambition, and a truly crazy courage prevail in the character of the natives of Aries. The metal of Aries is iron, the stone, ruby, the color, red, the element, fire. Marriage with people of Libra is favorable to the natives of Aries because fire and air comprehend each other very well. If the natives of Aries want to be happy in marriage, they should put an end to the defect of anger. Chapter 2, Taurus. Taurus, being the zodiacal sign that governs the creative larynx, that marvelous uterus where the verb is gestated, it is convenient that in this lesson we comprehend in a general manner the words of John when he said, "In the beginning was the Verb, and the Verb was with God, and the Verb was God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made." There are 7 orders of worlds, 7 cosmos that were created with the power of the verb, with music, with sound. The first cosmos is submerged within the uncreated light of the Absolute. The second order of worlds is constituted by all the worlds of infinite space. The third order of worlds is the sum total of all the suns of starry space. The fourth order of worlds is the sun, which illuminates us with all its laws and dimensions. The fifth order of worlds is made up of all the planets of the solar system. The sixth order of worlds is the earth in itself, with its 7 dimensions and regions inhabited by infinite beings. The seventh order of worlds is formed by those 7 concentric spheres or infernal worlds of the submerged mineral kingdom below the Earth's cortex. Music, the verb, placed by the logos in 7 musical octaves, sustains the universe firm in its march. The first order of worlds, the note Do. The second order of worlds, the note Si. The third order of worlds, the note La. The fourth order of worlds, the note Sol. The fifth order of worlds, the note Fa. The sixth order of worlds, the note Mi. The seventh order of worlds, the note Re. Then, everything returns to the Absolute with the note Do. Without music, without the verb, without the great word, the marvelous existence of the 7 cosmos would be impossible. Do. Re. Mi. Fa. Sol. La. Si. Si. La, Sol, Fa, Mi, Re, Do. The 7 notes of the great scale of the creative verb resound in all of creation, because in the beginning was the verb. The first order of worlds is wisely governed by the only law, by the great law. The second order of worlds is governed by 3 laws. The third order of worlds is governed by 6 laws. The fourth order of worlds is governed by 12 laws. The fifth order of worlds is governed by 24 laws. The sixth order of worlds is governed by 48 laws. The seventh order of worlds is governed by 96 laws. When one talks about the word, one is also talking about sound, about music, rhythms, the fire with its 3 measures of the Mahavan and the Shotavan which sustain the universe firm in its march. Pseudo-occultists and pseudo-esoterists only mention the microcosm and the macrocosm. They merely mention 2 orders of worlds, when in reality there are 7 cosmos, 7 orders of worlds sustained by the verb, by music, by the spermatic and luminous fiat of the first instant. Each of the 7 cosmos is beyond all doubt a living organism that breathes, feels, and lives. From the esoteric point of view, we can affirm that every progress upwards is the result of a progress downwards. One cannot ascend without descending. First one has to descend and then ascend. If we want to know a cosmos, we should first know the 2 adjoining ones. The one that is above and the one that is below, because both determine all the circumstances and vital phenomena of the cosmos that we want to study, to know. Example, in this era in which scientists struggle for the conquest of space, tremendous, unfortunately perverse, advances are being made in the field of the infinitely small, in the atomic world. The creation of the 7 cosmos was only possible by means of the verb, by means of the word, by means of music. Our Gnostic students should never forget what the 3 forces called Father, Son, Holy Spirit are. These 3 forces constitute the sacred trium azakamno. This is the holy affirming, the holy denying, the holy reconciling, the holy God, the holy firm one, the holy immortal. In electricity, these are the 3 poles, positive, negative, and neutral. Without the presence of these 3 poles, all creation is impossible. In Gnostic esoteric science, the 3 independent forces have the following names: Serpotheos, Serpskyros, Serpathanotos, the propelling, affirming, positive force, the denying force, the denying force. The force of resistance, the reconciling force, the liberating force, the neutralizing force. These 3 forces in the ray of creation resemble 3 wills, 3 consciousnesses, 3 units. Each of these 3 forces contains in itself all the possibilities of the 3. But, in their point of conjunction, each of them manifests only its principle: the positive, negative, or neutral. It is very interesting to see the 3 forces in action. They separate, move away from each other, and then come together again in order to form new trinities which originate new worlds, new creations. In the absolute, the 3 forces are the one logos, the army of the verb within the great unit of life free in its movement. The creative process of the sacred cosmic common trium azakamno was initiated with the sexual marriage of the word, because in the beginning was the verb, and the verb was with God, and the verb was God. Because of him all things were made, and without him nothing that is made would have been made. In accordance with the sacred law of Heptaparaparshinok, the law of 7, 7 temples were established in the chaos for the construction of this solar system. In accordance with the sacred law of Trium Azakamno, the law of 3, the Elohim divided into 3 groups within every temple to sing in accordance with the leader of fire. The work of making fecund the Prakriti, in other words, the chaos, the cosmic mother, the great womb, is always the labor of the very sacred Tiamut Malogos, the 3rd force. The 3 groups organized themselves within each temple in the following manner: first, a priest; second, a priestess; third, a neutral group of Elohim. If we take into consideration that the Elohim are andro, it is then clear that they had to polarize themselves at will in a masculine, feminine, and neutral form, in accordance with the sacred cosmic common Trium Azakamno. The priest and the priestess were before the altar and, on the ground floor of the temple, the andro choir of the Elohim. The rituals of fire were sung, and the sexual marriage of the word fecundated the great womb of the chaos, and the universe was born. The angels create with the power of the word. The larynx is a uterus where the word is gestated. We should awaken consciousness in the word, in the creative larynx, in order for it to one day also be able to pronounce the spermatic and luminous fiat of the first instant. Consciousness sleeps in our larynx. We are unconscious with the word. We need to become fully conscious of the word. It is said that silence is golden. We say that there exist criminal silences. It is as bad to speak when one should remain silent as it is to remain silent when one should speak. There are times when to speak is a transgression. There are times when to remain silent is also a transgression. Words are lovely, but sterile of he who does not act as he says, like a beautiful flower, full of color, but lacking in fragrance. But similar to a beautiful flower, full of color and fragrance, are the words that are lovely and fertile of he who acts according to how he speaks. It is urgent to end the mechanicity of words. It is necessary to speak with precision, in a conscious and opportune manner. We need to be conscious of the verb. There is responsibility in words, and to play with the verb is sacrilege. Nobody has the right to judge anyone. It is absurd to slander our fellow men. It is stupid to murmur about others' lives. Accusing words fall upon us sooner or later, like a ray of vengeance. Slanderous, infamous words always return to the one who pronounced them, converted into rocks that hurt. In other times, when human beings were not yet so mechanized with this false civilization, cowboys led the cattle to the stable singing in a delightful and natural manner. The bull, the cow, the calf become touched by music. They correspond to the zodiacal sign of Taurus, the constellation of the verb of music. In the great Puranic allegory, the land that is persecuted by Prithu flees, transforming itself into a cow and taking refuge in Brahma. But this Brahma is the first person of the Hindu Trimurti. Vak, Vaka, the cow, is the second, and Vaira, the divine male, the calf, the Kabir, the Logos, is the third person. Brahma is the father, the cow is the divine mother. The chaos, the calf is the Kabir, the Logos. Father, mother and son, that is the Puranic Trimurti. The father is wisdom, the mother is love, the son is the Logos, the verb. The five-legged astral cow, which Colonel Alcott believes to have seen physically in front of the hypogeum of Carli, the strange and mysterious cow that a certain young miner sees in the Andes as an exotic guardian of those treasures that the miners of his ranch sought, represent the Divine Mother, Rhea, Cybele, totally developed in the authentic man, in the self-realized master. Gautama the Buddha, or Gautama, literally means the conductor of the cow. Every cowherd, every conductor of the cow, can use the jam fire of the cow to enter the Jina's lands, palaces, temples, and cities. With the power of the Divine Mother, we can visit Agartha, the Jina's cities of the subterranean world. Taurus invites us to reflection. Let us remember that Mercury stole the cows of the sun. Taurus governs the creative larynx. It is urgent for the Kundalini to flourish in our fecund lips-made verb. It is only in this manner that we can use the jam fire to enter the kingdom of the Jinas. In this period of Taurus, we should take light to our creative larynx with the purpose of preparing it for the advent of the fire. The disciple should sit in a comfortable armchair. He should close his physical eyes in order for nothing of this vain and stubborn world to distract him. He should empty the mind, cast out of his mind all kinds of thoughts, desires, worries, etc. He should now imagine that the light accumulated during Aries, in his chalice, in his head, moves with Taurus to the creative larynx. The devotee should sing the mantra Ma. He should open his mouth properly with the Ah. Imagine that the light descends from the head to the larynx. Vocalize the O, vividly imagining that the light floods the throat. The mouth should be rounded properly to sing the O. The last letter is the M, closing the lips, expelling or casting out the breath with force, as if eliminating the refuse from the throat. This work is done singing the powerful mantra Ma, Om, for many times. In the thyroid gland, which secretes the biological iodine, is located the magnetic center of the magical ear. With the exercises of Taurus, one develops the magical ear, the power to hear the cosmic symphonies, the music of the spheres, the rhythms of the fire which sustain the seven cosmoses in accordance with the law of the octaves. The thyroid gland is located in the neck, in the creative larynx. The thyroid gland is governed by Venus and the parathyroids are governed by Mars. Taurus is the house of Venus. The stone of Taurus is the agate. The metal of this sign is copper. In practice, we have been able to evince that Taurines should not marry persons of Aquarius because they inevitably fail due to the incompatibility of characters. The sign of Taurus is fixed, an earth sign. It tends towards stability, and since the sign of Aquarius is aerial, mobile, revolutionary, it is clear that they are incompatible. Taurines are like oxen, humble and hard workers, but when they become furious, they are terrible like the bull. In their lives, Taurines undergo great amorous deceptions. They are reserved, conservative, they follow step by step, like the ox, the outlined path. Taurines are very sensitive. Anger in Taurines is of slow growth and customarily culminates in strong volcanic outbursts. The mediocre type of Taurus is customarily very egotistical, gluttonous, quarrelsome, passionate, irate, and proud. The superior type of Taurus is full of love, loves classical music, wisdom, works happily for humanity, is very intelligent, comprehensive, faithful, sincere in friendship, a good father, mother, good friend, good brother, good citizen, etc. The mystical greatness of the Mithraic bull that is not comprehended by the superficial people of this tenebrous era of the 20th century, later degenerated into the worship of the golden calf. The sacred cow symbolizes Isis, the divine mother, and her calf or heifer represents Mercury. The messenger of the gods, the Kabir, the Logos. Esoterically included in the sign of Taurus are the Pleiades. The celestial Pleiades are cows. The latter appear to be 7, but in reality, they are more than 2,000, with their reflection nebulae, Alcyone their principal star and its companions Atlas, Taygete, etc. Around the red eye of the bull or Aldebaran, the only one, together with Antares, heart of Scorpio, that can compete in coloring with Mars, the telescopic Hyades, another celestial cow, grouped together in an extraordinary and marvelous manner. Behind the bull comes the gigantic Orion. Above and towards the north of the constellation of the bull, there is this celestial group, symbolic of King Cepheo, Zephyr, or Zephyrus, of Queen Cassiopeia, that of the liberator Perseus with Medusa's head in his hands, and Andromeda, the liberated one, while in front the whale appears surrounded by Pisces and Aquarius. The panorama of Taurus and its neighboring sidereal regions is truly amazing. Chapter 3, Gemini. Identification and fascination lead to the sleep of the consciousness. For example, you are going quite calmly on the street, you suddenly meet a public demonstration, the masses vociferate, they talk about the leaders of the people, the flags wave through the air, people seem to be crazy, everybody talks, everybody yells. That public demonstration is very interesting. You already forgot everything you had to do, you become identified with the masses, the speaker's words convince you. The public demonstration is so interesting that you already forgot yourself. You have become identified so much with that street demonstration that you no longer think of anything else. You are fascinated. You now fall into the sleep of consciousness. Mixed with the shouting masses, you also shout and you even throw stones and insults. You are dreaming beautifully. You no longer know who you are. You have forgotten everything. We will now give you another simpler example. You are in your living room, seated before the television screen. Cowboy scenes appear. There is shooting, lovers' dramas, etc., etc. The movie is very interesting. It has totally caught your attention. You have already forgotten yourself that you even shout with enthusiasm. You are identified with the cowboys, with the gunshots, with the couple of lovers. The fascination is now terrible. You do not even remotely remember yourself. You have entered a very profound sleep. In those moments you only want to see the triumph of the hero of the movie. You rejoice with him. You are worried about the fate he may have. Thousands and millions are the circumstances that produce identification, fascination, and sleep. People identify with persons, things, ideas, and every type of identification is followed by fascination and sleep. People live with consciousness asleep. They work dreaming. they drive cars dreaming, and they also kill pedestrians who walk dreaming on the streets, absorbed in their own thoughts. During the hours of rest of the physical body, the ego, I, exits the physical body and takes along its dreams wherever it goes. When it returns to the physical body, when it once again enters the vigil state, it continues with its same dreams, and in this manner, it spends its entire life dreaming. The persons that die cease to exist, but the ego, the I, continues in the supersensible regions beyond death. At the hour of death, the ego takes along its dreams, its worldliness, and lives in the world of the dead with its dreams. It continues dreaming. With the consciousness asleep, it ambulates like a somnambulist, asleep, unconscious. Whoever wants to awaken consciousness should work here and now. We have the consciousness incarnated, and that is why we should work it here and now. Whoever awakens consciousness here in this physical world awakens in all the worlds. The one who awakens consciousness in this three-dimensional world awakens in the fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh dimensions. The one who wants to live consciously in the superior worlds should awaken here and now. The four Gospels insist on the necessity of awakening, but people do not understand. People sleep profoundly, but they believe that they are awake. When someone accepts that he is asleep, it is a clear sign that he already begins to awaken. It is very difficult to make other persons comprehend that they have their consciousness asleep. People never accept the tremendous truth that they are asleep. The one who wants to awaken consciousness should practice inner self-remembering from moment to moment. This exercise of being in self-remembering from moment to moment is in fact an intensive work. A moment, an instant, of forgetfulness is enough to begin dreaming beautifully. We urgently need to be watching all of our thoughts, sentiments, desires, emotions, habits, instincts, sexual impulses, etc. Every thought, emotion, movement, instinctive act, sexual impulse should be immediately auto-observed as they come forth in our psyche. Any lack of attention is sufficient to fall into the sleep of the consciousness. Many times, you are walking on the street, absorbed in your own thoughts, identified with those thoughts, fascinated, dreaming beautifully. Suddenly, a friend passes near you, greets you. You do not return the greeting because you do not see him, you are dreaming. The friend becomes angry. He assumes that you are a person without manners or that you are possibly angry. The friend is also going around dreaming. If he was awake, he would not make such conjectures to himself. He would immediately realize that you are walking around asleep. Many are the times in which you mistake the door, and you knock where you should not knock, because you are asleep. You are traveling in a city transport vehicle. You have to get off at a specific street, but you are identified, fascinated, dreaming beautifully about a business, in your mind. Or with a memory, or with an affection, suddenly, you realize that you have passed your street. You cause the vehicle to stop and then you walk back a few streets. It is very difficult to stay awake from moment to moment, but it is indispensable. When we learn to live awake from moment to moment, we then stop dreaming here and outside of the physical body. It is necessary to know that when people fall asleep, they come out of their physical bodies, but they carry along their dreams. They live in the internal worlds dreaming, and when they return to the physical body, they continue with their dreams, they continue dreaming. When one learns to live awake from moment to moment, one stops dreaming here and in the internal worlds. It is necessary to know that the ego, the I enveloped in its lunar bodies, exits the physical body when the body falls asleep. Unfortunately, the ego lives asleep in the internal worlds. Besides the ego, that which is called essence, soul, fraction of a soul, Buddhata, consciousness, exists inside the lunar bodies. It is that consciousness that we should awaken here and now. Here in this world, we have the consciousness. Here we should awaken it if we truly want to stop dreaming and live consciously in the superior worlds. The person with awake consciousness lives, works, acts consciously in the superior worlds while his body rests in his bed. The conscious person does not have unfoldment problems. The problem of learning to unfold oneself at will is only for the asleep. The awake person does not even concern himself with learning to unfold himself. He lives consciously in the superior worlds while his physical body sleeps in bed. The awake person no longer dreams. During the rest of the body, He lives in those regions where people wander dreaming, but with his consciousness awake. The awake person is in contact with the White Lodge. He visits the temples of the great universal white fraternity, and interviews with his Gurudeva while his body sleeps. Inner self-remembering from moment to moment develops the spatial sense, and then we can even see the dreams of people who walk the streets. The spatial sense includes sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch, etc. in itself. The spatial sense is the functionalism of the awake consciousness. The chakras, of which occultist literature speaks, in relation to the spatial sense, are what the flame of a match is in relation to the sun. If inner self-remembering from moment to moment is fundamental to awaken, consciousness, learning to use attention, is no less fundamental. Gnostic students should learn to divide attention into three parts: subject, object, and place. Subject. To not fall into the forgetting of oneself before any representation. Object. To observe everything, every representation, every fact, every event, no matter how insignificant the latter may seem, in detail, without forgetting oneself. Place. The rigorous observation of the place where we may be. Ask ourselves, what place is this? Why am I here? Within this place factor, we should include the dimensional issue, since it could be the case that we are really in the fourth or in the fifth dimension of nature during the moment of observation. Let us remember that nature has 7 dimensions. The law of gravity reigns in the 3-dimensional world. The law of levitation exists within the superior dimensions of nature. Upon observing a place, we should never forget the matter of the 7 dimensions of nature. It is convenient, therefore, to ask ourselves, in what dimension am I? Then, it is necessary, in the way of verification, to take the highest possible jump with the intention of floating in the surrounding atmosphere. It is logical that if we float, it is because we are outside of the physical body. We should never forget that when the physical body sleeps, the ego with the lunar bodies and the essence within unconsciously ambulates like a somnambulist in the molecular world. The division of attention into subject, object, and place leads to the awakening of consciousness. After becoming accustomed to this exercise, to this division of attention into 3 parts, to these questions, to this little jump, etc., many Gnostic students ended up practicing the same exercise during the sleep of the physical body, when they were really in the superior worlds, and when they made the famous experimental jump. They floated delightfully in the surrounding atmosphere. They then awoke consciousness. They then remembered that the physical body had remained asleep in the bed, and full of joy they were able to dedicate themselves to the study of the mysteries of life and death in the superior dimensions. It is logical to say that an exercise that is practiced from moment to moment daily, that becomes a habit, a custom, is recorded so much in the different zones of the mind that afterwards, it is automatically repeated during dreaming, when we are really outside of the physical body, and the result is the awakening of consciousness. Gemini is an air sign, governed by the planet Mercury. Gemini governs the lungs, arms, and legs. Exercise. During the zodiacal sign of Gemini, Gnostic students should lie down on their backs and relax the body. Next, one has to inhale the air 5 times and also exhale it 5 times. When one inhales, one has to imagine that the light formerly accumulated in the larynx now acts on the bronchi and lungs. Upon inhaling, the legs and arms will be open to the left and to the right. The legs and arms will be closed upon exhaling. Mercury is the metal of Gemini. Its stone is the golden beryl, and its color is yellow. Gemini natives love traveling a great deal. They commit the error of ignoring the wise voice of the heart. They want to resolve everything with the mind. They become angry easily. They are very dynamic, versatile, voluble, irritable, intelligent. Their lives are full of successes and failures, and they possess a mad courage. Gemini natives are problematic due to their rare dualism, due to that double personality that characterizes them, and which is symbolized among the Greeks by those mysterious brothers called Castor and Pollux. One never knows how the Gemini native will proceed in this or that case due precisely to their double personality. At any specific moment, the Gemini native results a very sincere friend. capable of sacrificing even his own life out of friendship for the person to whom he has offered his love, but at any other moment, he is capable of the worst infamies against that same loved person. The inferior type of Gemini is very dangerous, and that is why his friendship is not advisable. The most serious defect of the Gemini natives is the tendency of falsely judging all persons. The twins Castor and Pollux invite us to reflection. It is in fact known that in nature, manifested matter and the occult energy symbolized in the heat, light, electricity, the chemical energies and other superior ones which are still unknown to us, always process themselves in an inverse manner, and the appearance of one presupposes the entropy or disappearance of the other, no less and no more than the mysterious brothers Castor and Pollux, a symbol of such a phenomenon among the Greeks. They alternately lived and died in the same manner that matter and energy anywhere are alternately born and die, appear and disappear. The process of Gemini is vital in cosmogenesis. The original Earth was a sun that gradually condensed at the expense of a nebulous ring when, by irradiation or cooling down, the first solid film of our globe was determined by means of the chemical phenomenon of dissipation or entropy of the energy which constitutes the gross states of matter which we call solid and liquid. All of these changes in nature are carried out in accordance with the intimate processes of Castor and Pollux. During these times of the 20th century, life has already initiated its return to the absolute, and gross matter begins to transform itself into energy. We have been told that in the 5th round, the earth shall be a cadaver. A new moon, and that life will develop with all of its constructive and destructive processes in the etheric world. From the esoteric point of view, we can affirm that Castor and Pollux are twin souls. The being, the inner self of each of us, has two twin souls, the spiritual and the human souls. In the run-of-the-mill intellectual animal, the being, the inner self, is not born, nor dies, nor reincarnates, but it does send the essence to each new personality. The essence is a fraction of the human soul, the Buddhata. It is urgent to know that the Buddhata, the essence, is deposited within the lunar bodies with which the ego garbs itself. Speaking in a little clearer manner, we will say that the essence is unfortunately bottled up in the lunar ego. The lost ones descend. The descent to the infernal worlds only has as objective the destruction of the lunar bodies and the ego by means of the submerged involution. It is only by destroying the bottle that the essence escapes. All of those incessant changes of matter into energy and energy into matter always invite us to reflect on Gemini. Gemini is intimately related to the bronchi, lungs, and breathing. The microcosm man is made to the image and likeness of the macrocosm. The earth also breathes. The earth inhales the vital sulfur of the sun and then exhales it already converted into terrestrial sulfur. This is analogous to man that inhales pure oxygen and exhales it converted into carbon dioxide. This vital wave, alternately ascending and descending, true systole and diastole, inhalation and exhalation, surges forth from the most profound bosom of the earth. Chapter 4, Cancer. Upon leaving the body, taking the path of fire, of the light of the day, of the fortnight of the moon and of the northern solstice, those who know Brahma go to Brahma. Verse 24, Chapter 8, the Bhagavad Gita. The yogi who upon dying goes on the path of smoke, of the dark fortnight of the moon and of the southern solstice, reaches the lunar sphere and is then reborn. Verse 28, Chapter 8, the Bhagavad Gita. These two paths, the luminous and the dark, are considered permanent. One becomes emancipated on the first one and is reborn on the second one. Verse 26, Chapter 8, the Bhagavad Gita. The being is not born, nor does he ever die, does he reincarnate. He has no origin, he is eternal, immutable, he is before everyone and does not die when the body is killed. Verse 20, Chapter 2, Bhagavad Gita. The ego is born, the ego dies. Distinguish between the ego and the being. The ego is not born, neither does it die, nor reincarnate. 3 are the types of fruits of actions: unpleasant, pleasant, and the mixture of both. Those fruits become adhered, after death, to those who have not renounced, but not to the man of renunciation. Verse 12, Chapter 18. The Bhagavad Gita. Learn from me, O mighty armed one, about these 5 causes, related to the fulfillment of actions, according to the highest wisdom, which is the goal of every action. Verse 13, chapter 18, the Bhagavad Gita. The body, the ego, the organs, the functions, and the deities, planets, are the 5 causes. Verse 14, chapter 18, Bhagavad Gita. Any proper or improper act, whether it be physical, verbal, or mental, has those 5 causes. Verse 15, chapter 18, Bhagavad Gita. Now, such being the case, the one who due to defective comprehension considers Atman, the being, the absolute, as an actor, is stubborn, does not see reality. Verse 16, chapter 81, the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita makes, therefore, a differentiation between the ego, I, and the being, Atman. The intellectual animal erroneously called man is a compound of body, ego, organs, and functions. It is a machine moved by the deities, or, we should better say, the planets. Many times, any cosmic catastrophe is enough for the waves that reach the earth to launch those asleep human machines to the battlefields. Millions of asleep machines against millions of asleep machines. The moon brings egos to the womb and the moon takes them away. Max Handel says that conception is always carried out while the moon is in Cancer. Conception without the moon is impossible. The first 7 years of life are governed by the moon. The second 7 years of life are 100% mercurial. The child then goes to school, is restless, is in incessant movement. The third septennium of life, tender adolescence between 14 and 21 years of life, are governed by Venus, the star of love. That is the age of the sting, the age of love, the age in which we see life rose-colored glasses. From 21 up to 42 years of life, we have to occupy our little place under the sun and to define our life. That period is governed by the sun. The septennium comprised by the period between 42 and 49 years of age is 100% Martian, and life then becomes an authentic battlefield, because Mars is war. The period between 49 and 56 years of age is Jupiterian. It is clear that those who have Jupiter well situated in their horoscope during that period of their life are respected by the whole world, and if they do not possess the unnecessary worldly riches, they at least have what is necessary in order to be able to live very well. Another is the fate of those who have Jupiter badly situated in their horoscope. Those persons then suffer the unutterable. They lack bread, clothes, shelter, they are ill-treated by others, etc., etc., etc. The period of life, comprised between 56 and 63 years, is governed by the ancient of the heavens, old Saturn. Really, old age begins at 56 years of age. Once the period of Saturn has passed, the moon returns, it brings the ego to birth, and it takes it away. If we carefully observe the elders of very advanced age, we can verify that they certainly return to the age of children. Some old men and women once again play with little cars and dolls. Elders who are older than 63 and children under 7 years are governed by the moon. Among thousands of men, perhaps one will strive for perfection. Among those strivers, one possibly achieves perfection, and among the perfect, perhaps one knows me perfectly. Verse 3, chapter 7, the Bhagavad Gita. The ego is lunar, and upon leaving the physical body, it goes on the path of smoke, of the dark fortnight of the moon and of the southern solstice, and soon returns to a new womb. The moon takes it, and the moon brings it, that is the law. The ego is garbed with lunar bodies. The internal vehicles studied by Theosophy are of a lunar nature. The sacred scripture of the Jam says, the universe is inhabited by different creatures existing in samsara, born from different families and castes. Due to having committed several actions, and depending on what they are, they sometimes go to the world of the gods, other times to the inferno, and sometimes they become asuras, diabolic persons. This is how living beings, who are incessantly born and reborn because of their evil actions, do not despise samsara. The moon carries away all egos, but does not bring them all back once again. During these times, the majority enter the infernal worlds, the sublunar regions, the submerged mineral kingdom, the exterior darkness where only crying and the gnashing of teeth are heard. Few are the disembodied that can today afford the luxury of some vacations in the world of the gods before returning to a new womb through the doors of the moon. Many are those who return immediately, carried away and brought by the moon, without having enjoyed the delights of the superior worlds. The perfect, elected ones, those who dissolved the ego, fabricated their solar bodies and sacrificed themselves for humanity, are blessed. Upon leaving the physical body with death, they take the path of fire, of the light, of the day, of the luminous fortnight of the moon and of the northern solstice. They have incarnated the being, they know Brahma, the Father who is in secret, and it is clear that they go to Brahma, the Father. Jainism says that during this great day of Brahma, 24 greater prophets who have attained total perfection descend to this world. Gnostic scriptures say that there are 12 saviors, in other words, 12 avatars, but if we think of a John the Baptist as precursor and of Jesus as an avatar for Pisces, the age that just passed, we can then comprehend that for each of the 12 zodiacal ages there is always a precursor and an avatar, a total of 24 great prophets. Mahavira was Buddha's precursor and John the Baptist was that of Jesus. The sacred Rescorno, death, is full of inner beauty. The truth about death is only known by the one who has experienced its deep significance. The moon carries away and brings the deceased. The extremes touch each other. Death and conception are intimately united. The path of life is formed by the tracks of the hooves of the horse of death. The disintegration of all the elements that constitute the physical body originate a very special vibration which invisibly passes through time and space. Exercise will permit us to remember our present life and the previous one and the past existences. The retrospective exercise permits us to become conscious of our own lunar ego, of our own errors. Let us remember that the ego is a bunch of memories, desires, passions. Anger, covetousness, lust, pride, laziness, gluttony, self-esteem, resentments, vengeances, etc. If we want to dissolve the ego, we should first study it. The ego is the root of ignorance and pain. Only the being, Atman, is perfect, but he is not born, neither does he die nor reincarnate. This is how Krishna said it in the Bhagavad Gita. If the student falls asleep during the retrospective exercise, so much the better, because in the internal worlds, he will be able to know himself, remember his entire life and all of his past lives. In the same manner that the medical surgeon needs to study a cancerous tumor before extirpating it, likewise the Gnostic needs to study his own ego before extirpating it. During cancer, the energies accumulated in the bronchi and lungs by Gemini should now be passed on, in Cancer, to the thymus gland. The cosmic forces which ascend through our organism meet at the thymus gland with the forces which descend, and the two interlaced triangles, Solomon's seal, is formed. The disciple should meditate daily on this seal of Solomon being formed in the thymus gland. We have been told that the thymus gland regulates the growth of children. It is interesting that the mother's mammary glands are intimately related to the thymus gland. That is why the maternal milk can never be substituted by any other food for children. The natives of Cancer have a character that is as variable as the phases of the moon. The natives of Cancer are peaceful by nature, but they are terrible when they become angry. The natives of Cancer have a disposition for the manual arts, practical arts. The natives of Cancer have a vivid imagination, but they should be careful of fantasy. Conscious imagination is advisable. The mechanical imagination called fantasy is absurd. Cancer people have a soft, shy, and timid nature. Homely virtues. In Cancer we sometimes find some individuals who are too passive, slack, lazy. The natives of Cancer are very fond of novels, movies, etc. The metal of Cancer is silver, the pearl is its stone, its color is white. Cancer, the sign of the crab or of the sacred scarab, is the house of the moon. The vibratory waves of the deceased are similar to television waves that carry images. The embryo is, to the waves of death, what a screen is to the waves of transmitting stations. The vibratory waves of death carry the image of the deceased. This image remains deposited in the fecundated egg. Under the lunar influence, the spermatozoa penetrate the egg's covering, which instantly closes once again, imprisoning it. There it generates a very interesting field of attraction, attracting and being attracted towards the feminine nucleus, which silently awaits in the egg center. When these two capital nuclei fuse into a single unit, the chromosomes begin their famous dance, intertwining and re-intertwining themselves in an instant. This is how the design of someone who agonized and died comes to crystallize in the embryo. Each ordinary cell of the human organism contains 40 chromosomes. This reminds us of the 48 laws of the world in which we live. The reproductive cells of the organism only contain a single chromosome from each pair, but in their union, they produce the new combination of 48, which cause each embryo to be unique and different. Every human form, every organism, is a precious machine. Each chromosome carries in itself the seal of some function, quality, or special characteristic. One pair determines the gender, since the duality of this pair is what makes females. The odd pair of chromosomes originates males. Let us remember the biblical legend of Eve, who was made from Adam's rib and having, therefore, one rib more than him. The chromosomes themselves are made up of genes, and each of the latter by a few molecules. Really, the genes constitute the frontier between this world and the other, between the third and the fourth dimension. The waves of the dying, the waves of death, act upon the genes, putting them in order inside the fecundated egg. This is how the lost physical body is reconstructed. This is how the design of the deceased becomes visible in the embryo. During the period of cancer, our Gnostic disciples should practice, before falling asleep, in their bed, a retrospective exercise of their own life, like someone who is watching a movie from the end to the beginning, or like someone who reads a book from the end to the beginning, from the last to the first page. The objective of this retrospective exercise of our own life is to auto-know, auto-discover ourselves, to recognize our good and evil actions, to study our own lunar ego, to make conscious the subconscious. It is necessary to arrive in a retrospective manner at our birth and remember it. A superior effort will permit the student to connect his birth with the death of his previous physical body. Drowsiness combined with meditation. With the retrospective. Chapter 5, Leo. Annie Besant narrates a case of Master Nanak, which is well worth the while to transcribe. It was a Friday that day, and when the hour of prayer arrived, master and servant headed towards the mosque. When the Karl, Muslim priest, started the prayers, the Nabob and his retinue prostrated themselves, as is prescribed by the Mohammedan rite. Nanak remained standing, still and silent. Once the prayer had ended, the Nabob confronted the young man and, indignant, he asked him, "Why have you not fulfilled the ceremonies of the law? You are a liar and a fake. You should not have come here to stand like a post." Nanak replied, "You prostrated yourself with your face on the floor while your thoughts wandered through the clouds, for you were thinking of bringing horses from Kandar and not in the recitation of the prayer." As to the priest, he was automatically practicing the ceremonies of prostration, while at the same time his thoughts were in saving the donkey that gave birth days ago. How was I going to pray with people who kneel out of routine and repeat words like a parrot? The Nabob confessed that in effect, he had been thinking during the entire ceremony on the planned purchase of horses. As far as the carry was concerned, he openly manifested his disgust and pressed the young man with many questions. Really, it is necessary to learn how to pray scientifically, the one who learns to intelligently combine prayer with meditation will obtain marvelous objective results. But it is urgent to comprehend that there are different prayers and that their results are different. There are prayers which are accompanied by petitions, but not all prayers are accompanied by petitions. There are very ancient prayers which are authentic recapitulations of cosmic events, and we can experience their entire content if we meditate on each word, on each phrase, with true conscious devotion. The Our Father is a magical formula of immense sacerdotal power, but it is urgent to comprehend in depth and in a total manner the profound meaning of each word, of each phrase, of each supplication. The Our Father is a prayer of petition, a prayer to converse with the Father who is in secrecy. The Our Father combined with deep meditation produces marvelous objective results. The Gnostic rituals, religious ceremonies are authentic treatises of occult wisdom for the person who knows how to meditate, for those who comprehend with the heart. The one who wishes to tread the path of the tranquil heart should concentrate the prana, life, and the sexual energy in the cerebrum and the mind in the heart. It is urgent to learn to think with the heart, to deposit the mind in the heart temple. The cross of initiation is always received in the marvelous temple of the heart. Nanak, the founding master of the Sikh religion in the sacred land of the Vedas, taught the path of the heart. Nanak taught fraternity among all religions, schools, sects, etc. When we attack all religions or any religion in particular, we commit the crime of violating the law of the heart. In the heart temple, there is a place for all religions, sects, orders, etc. All religions are precious pearls strung on the golden thread of the divinity. Our Gnostic movement is made up by people of all religions, schools, sects, spiritual societies, etc. In the heart temple there is place for all religions, for all worships. Jesus said, "In loving one another thou shalt prove that thou art my disciples." The Sikh scriptures, like those of every religion, are really ineffable. Among the Sikhs, Omkara is the primary divine being who created heaven, the earth, the waters, and all that exists. Omkara is the unmanifested, endless, primary spirit, without a beginning, without an end, whose light illuminates the 14 dwellings, instantaneous knower, internal regulator of every heart. Space is its power. The sun and the moon are its lamps. The army of the stars, its pearls, O Father. The odoriferous breeze of the Himalayas is your incense. The wind refreshes you. The plant kingdom pays you tributes of flowers, O light. For you are the hymns of praise, O destroyer of fear. The Anatal Shabda, virgin sound, resounds as your drums. You have no eyes, and you have them by the thousands. You have no feet, and you have them by the thousands. You have no nose, and you have them by the thousands. This your marvelous work enraptures us. Your light, O glory, is in all things. The light of your light radiates from all beings. This light radiates from the teachings of the Master. It is an Arati. Nanak, the great Master, in accordance with the Upanishads, comprehends that Brahma, the Father, is one and that the ineffable gods are merely his partial manifestations, reflections of his absolute beauty. The Guru Deva is the one who is already one with the Father, Brahma. Fortunate is the one who has a Guru Deva as a guide and director. Blessed be the one who has found the Master of Perfection. The path is narrow, straight, and frighteningly difficult. One needs the Guru Deva, the director, the guide. In the heart temple we will find Han, the being. In the heart temple we will find the Guru Deva. Now we will transcribe a few Sikh stanzas about the devotion to the Guru Deva. O Nanak, recognize him as the true Guru, the beloved one who unites you to all. 100 times a day I would like to sacrifice myself for my Guru who has converted me into a god in a short time. Even if 100 moons and 1,000 suns shone, profound darkness would reign without the Guru. Blessed be my venerable Guru who knows Han, the being, and who has taught us to treat friends and enemies alike. O Lord, favor us with the company of Guru Deva, so that together with him, we, lost sinners, may make a journey by swimming. Guru Deva, the true Guru, is Parabrahma, the Supreme Lord. Nanak prostrates himself before Guru Deva Han. In India, a sannyasi of the mind is one who serves the true Guru Deva, who has found him in the heart, who works in the dissolution of the lunar ego. Whoever wants to put an end to the ego, to the I, should annihilate anger, covetousness, lust, envy, pride, laziness, gluttony. It is only by putting an end to all those defects in all the levels of the mind that the I dies in a radical, total, and definite manner. Meditation on the name Han, the being, permits us to experience what is real, authentic. It is necessary to learn how to pray the Our Father, to learn to converse with Brahma, the Father, who is in secrecy. A single Our Father well prayed and wisely combined with meditation is an entire work of high magic. A single Our Father properly prayed is done in a period of 1 hour or in a little more than an hour. After the prayer, we must know how to await the reply of the Father, and this means to know how to meditate, to have the mind still and in silence, empty of all thoughts, awaiting the reply of the Father. When the mind is still, within and without, when the mind is in silence within and without, when the mind has freed itself from dualism, then the novel comes to us. It is necessary to empty the mind of all kinds of thoughts, desires, passions, appetites, fears, etc. in order for the experience of what is real to come to us. The eruption of the void, the experience in the illuminating void, are only possible when the essence, the soul, the Buddhata, frees itself from the intellectual bottle. The essence is engrossed within the tremendous battle of the opposites, heat and cold, like and dislike, yes and no, good and evil, pleasant and unpleasant. When the mind is still, when the mind is in silence, then the essence remains free and the experience of what is real in the illuminating void comes. Pray, therefore, good disciple, and then with the mind very still and in silence, empty of all kinds of thoughts, await the reply from the Father. Ask and it shall be given, knock and it shall be opened. To pray is to converse with God, and certainly one has to learn to converse with the Father, with Brahma. The heart temple is house of prayer. Found in the heart temple are the energies which come from above, with the energies which come from below, forming Solomon's seal. It is necessary to pray and meditate profoundly. It is urgent to know how to relax the physical body in order for meditation to be correct. Before beginning the exercises of prayer and meditation combined, relax the body properly. The Gnostic disciple should lie down in a face-up position, in other words, lying on his back on the floor or in bed. Legs and arms open to the right and left, in the form of a 5-pointed star. This pentagonal star position is formidable due to its deep meaning. But persons who for any circumstance are unable to meditate in this position should then meditate by placing their body in the corpse posture, heels together, tips of the feet spread out in the form of a fan, arms unbent along the sides, placed alongside the trunk. The eyes should be closed in order for things of the physical world to not distract us. Drowsiness properly combined with meditation is very indispensable for the good success of the meditation. It is necessary to try to totally relax all the muscles of the body and then concentrate attention on the tip of the nose, until we fully feel the heart pulse in that organ of smell. Then we will continue with the right ear until we feel the heart pulse in the latter. Then we will continue with the right hand, right foot, left hand, left ear, and nose once again, fully feeling the heart pulse separately in each of these organs where we have focused the attention. Control over the physical body begins with control over the pulse. The pulse of the tranquil heart is felt all at once, entirely, in its totality, within the organism, but Gnostics can feel it at will in any part of the body, whether it be on the tip of the nose, an ear, an arm, a foot, etc. It has been demonstrated in practice that by acquiring the possibility of regulating, hastening, or slowing down the pulse, the heartbeat can be hastened or slowed down. Control over the palpitations of the heart can never come from the heart muscles, but rather it depends totally on the control of the pulse. This is, beyond all doubt, the second heartbeat or great heart. The control of the pulse or control of the second heart is achieved totally through the absolute relaxation of all the muscles. Through attention we can accelerate or slow down the pulsations of the second heart and the beats of the first heart. Samadhi, ecstasy, satori always occurs with very slow pulsations, and in Mahasamadhi, pulsations end. During Samadhi, the essence, the Buddhata, escapes the personality, then it becomes fused with the being and the experience of what is real in the illuminating void comes. It is only in the absence of the I that we can converse with the Father, Brahma. Pray and meditate in order for you to be able to listen to the voice of the silence. Leo is the throne of the sun, the heart of the zodiac. Leo governs the human heart. The sun of the organism is the heart. In the heart, the forces from above mix with those from below in order for those from below to become liberated. The metal of Leo is pure gold. The stone of Leo is the diamond. The color of Leo is golden. Practice we have been able to verify that the natives of Leo are like the lion, brave, irate, noble, worthy, constant. But there are many people, and it is clear that, among the natives of Leo, we also find those who are arrogant, proud, unfaithful, tyrants, etc. The natives of Leo also have organizational aptitudes. They develop the sentiment and bravery of the lion. The developed persons of this sign get to be great paladins. The mediocre type of Leo is very sentimental and irate. The mediocre type of Leo overestimates his own capacities too much. In every native of Leo, mysticism already developed in an incipient stage always exists. It all depends on the type of person. The natives of Leo are always predisposed to suffer accidents to the arms and hands. Chapter 6, Virgo. The Prakriti is the Divine Mother, the primordial substance of nature. In the universe, several substances, different elements and sub-elements, exist, but all of these are different manifestations of a single substance. The primordial material is the pure Akasha contained in all of space. The Great Mother, the Prakriti. Mahamvantra and Pralaya are two very important Sanskrit terms with which Gnostic students should become familiarized. Mahamvantra is the great cosmic day. Pralaya is the great cosmic night. During the great day, the universe exists. When the great night arrives, the universe ceases to exist and becomes dissolved within the bosom of the Prakriti. The immeasurable infinite space is full of solar systems which have their Mahamvantras and Pralayas. While some are in their Mahamvantara, others are in their Pralaya. Millions and billions of universes are being born and die within the bosom of the Prakriti. Every cosmos is born from the Prakriti and is dissolved in the Prakriti. Every world is a ball of fire that becomes ignited and extinguished in the bosom of the Prakriti. Everything is born from the Prakriti. Everything returns to the Prakriti. She is the Great Mother. The Bhagavad Gita says, "The great Prakriti is my womb, in that I place the germ, thence, O Bharata, is the birth of all beings." Whatever forms are produced, O Kauntriya, in any womb whatsoever, the Prakriti is their womb, and I am the seed-giving father. Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, these three gunas, aspects or qualities, born of the Prakriti, O mighty armed one, bind fast the embodied to the body. Of these, Sattva, which from its stainlessness is luminous and good, binds by attachment to happiness and by attachment to knowledge, O impeccable one. Know thou, O Kauntriya, that Rajas is of the nature of passion, the source of desire and attachment. This guna binds fast the embodied being to action. But know thou, O Bharata, that Tamas is born of ignorance, deluding all embodied beings. It binds fast the embodied being, by heedlessness, laziness and sleep, a sleep consciousness, the sleep of consciousness. During the great Pralaya, these three gunas are in perfect equilibrium on the great scales of justice. When imbalance of the three gunas is produced, the aurora of the Mahamvantara is initiated and the universe is born from within the bosom of the Prakriti. During the great Pralaya, the Prakriti is unitotal, integral. In the manifestation, in the Mahamvantara, the Prakriti differentiates into the three cosmic aspects. The three aspects of the Prakriti during the manifestation are, first, the infinite space, second, that of nature, third, that of man. The Divine Mother in infinite space, the Divine Mother in nature, the Divine Mother in man. These are the three mothers, the three Marys of Christianity. Gnostic students should comprehend very well these three aspects of the Prakriti, since this is fundamental in the esoteric work. Besides, it is urgent to know that the Prakriti has its particularity in each man. Gnostic students should not find it strange if we affirm to them that the particular Prakriti of each man even has her individual name. This means that we also have a Divine Mother in each of us. The comprehension of this is fundamental for the esoteric work. The second birth is something else. The third logos, the sacred fire, should first fecundate the sacred womb of the Divine Mother, then follows the second birth. She, the Prakriti, is always a virgin, before childbirth, during childbirth, and after childbirth. In the 8th chapter of this book, we will talk in depth about the practical work related to the second birth. Now, we only give a few guidelines. Every master of the White Lodge has his particular divine mother, his property. Every master is the son of an immaculate virgin. If we study comparative religion, we will discover immaculate conceptions everywhere. Jesus is conceived by the deed and grace of the Holy Spirit. The mother of Jesus was an immaculate virgin. Religious scriptures say that Buddha, Jupiter, Zeus, Apollo, Quetzalcoatl, Fuji, Lao Tse, etc. were sons of immaculate virgins, virgins before childbirth, in childbirth, and after childbirth. In the sacred land of the Vedas, Devki, the Hindu virgin conceived Krishna, and in Bethlehem, the Virgin Mary conceived Jesus. In Yellow China, on the banks of the Fuji River, the Virgin Hoase steps on the footprint of the great man, is covered by a marvelous brilliance, and her womb conceives Fuji, the Chinese Christ, by deed and grace of the Holy Spirit. A basic condition for the second birth is for the third logos, the Holy Spirit, to first intervene, fecundating the virginal womb of the Divine Mother. The sexual fire of the third logos in the Hindustan is known under the name of Kundalini and is symbolized by a serpent of burning fire. The Divine Mother is Isis, Tanansin, Kali, or Parvati, the wife of Shiva. The third logos and her most powerful symbol is the sacred cow. The serpent should ascend along the spinal canal of the sacred cow. The serpent should fecundate the womb of the Divine Mother. It is only in this manner that the Immaculate Conception and the second birth arrive. The Kundalini, in itself, is a solar fire that is enclosed inside a magnetic center located in the coccygeal bone, at the base of the spinal column. When the sacred fire awakens, it ascends through the spinal canal along the spinal column, opening the 7 centers of the spinal column and fecundating the property. The fire of the Kundalini has 7 degrees of power, and it is necessary to ascend this septenary ladder of fire in order to achieve the second birth. When the property is fecundated with the flaming fire, it then has formidable powers to help us. To be born again is equivalent to entering the kingdom. It is very rare to find a twice born. Rare is he who is born a second time. Whoever wants to be born again, whoever wants to achieve final liberation, should eliminate the 3 gunas of the property from his nature. The one who does not eliminate the sattva guna becomes lost in the labyrinth of theories and abandons the esoteric work. The one who does not eliminate rajas fortifies the lunar ego by means of anger, covetousness, and lust. We should not forget that. Rajas is the very root of animal desire and the most violent passions. Rajas is the root of all concupiscence. The latter, in itself, is the origin of every desire. The one who wants to eliminate desire should first eliminate the rajas guna. The one who does not eliminate tamas will always have the consciousness asleep. He will be lazy. He will abandon the esoteric work due to slackness, inertia, laziness, lack of willpower, lukewarmth, lack of spiritual enthusiasm. He will be a victim of the foolish illusions of this world, and he will succumb in ignorance. It has been said that after death, the people of sattvic temperament go on vacation to the paradises or molecular and electronic kingdoms where they enjoy infinite bliss before returning to a new womb. Initiates know very well, by direct experience, that the people of rajasic temperament re-embody or return to this world in an immediate manner or remain at the threshold awaiting the opportunity to enter a new womb, but without having the bliss of some vacations in the different kingdoms of happiness. Every enlightened one knows with total certainty that after death, persons of a tamasic temperament join the infernal worlds situated by Dante in his Divine Comedy, beneath the crust of the earth within the entrails of the subterranean world. It is urgent to eliminate the 3 gunas from our inner nature if we truly want to accomplish the esoteric work successfully. The Bhagavad Gita says, "When the seer beholds no agent other than the gunas, and knows he who is higher than the gunas, he attains to my being." Many would like a technique to eliminate the 3 gunas, but we affirm that it is only by dissolving the lunar ego that one can successfully eliminate the 3 gunas. The one who remains indifferent and is not perturbed by the gunas, who has realized that it is only the gunas that function and remain firm, without vacillating, is the one who has already dissolved the lunar ego. The one who feels equally in pleasure or in pain, who dwells in his own being, who gives equal value to a piece of clay, to a small pebble, or to a gold nugget, who remains impartial before the pleasant and the unpleasant, before censure and praise, in honor or dishonor, before the friend or enemy, and who has renounced every egotistical and earthly enterprise, is the one who has already eliminated the three gunas and dissolved the lunar ego. The one who no longer has concupiscence, who extinguished the fire of lust in all the 49 subconscious departments of the mind, has eliminated the three gunas and dissolved the lunar ego. The earth, water, fire, air, space, mind, intellect, and the ego are the 8 categories into which my property is divided. This is how it is written. These are the words of the Blessed One. When the great cosmic day dawns, all beings manifest, proceeding from the unmanifested property, and at sunset they disappear into the same unmanifested property. Behind the unmanifested property is the unmanifested absolute. It is necessary to first enter the unmanifested property before submerging ourselves within the bosom of the unmanifested absolute. The blessed goddess mother of the world is that which is called love. She is Isis, whom no mortal has ever unveiled. In the flame of the serpent, we adore her. All the great religions worshipped the cosmic mother. She is Adonia, Insobertha, Rhea, Cybele, Tenantzin, etc., etc., etc. The devotee of the Virgin Mother can ask, the sacred scriptures say, "Ask and thou shalt be given, knock and it shalt be opened." Worlds are gestated in the great womb of the Divine Mother. Virgo governs the womb. Virgo is very intimately related with the intestines and in a very special manner with the pancreas and the islets of Langerhans, which secrete insulin, which is so important for sugar digestion. When they arrive at the belly, the forces that ascend from the earth become charged with adrenal hormones that prepare them for their ascent to the heart. During this sign of Virgo, the celestial Virgin, we should, lying on our backs with the body relaxed, move the belly with small jumps, with the purpose of the energies which ascend from the earth becoming charged in the belly with the adrenal hormones. The Gnostic student should comprehend the importance of that cauldron called the stomach and put an end to the vice of gluttony forever. The disciples of Lord Buddha maintained themselves with only 1 meal per day. Fish and fruits constitute the principal food of the inhabitants of the planet Venus. Marvelous vital principles exist in grains and vegetables of all types. The sacrifice of cattle, of cows, bulls, is a horrible crime proper of these people and of this lunar race. The two races, the solar and the lunar, have always existed in eternal conflict in the world. Abraham, Isaac, Iacab, Iosep were always worshippers of the sacred cow, or of the Egyptian goddess Isis, while already Moses, or better said, Esdras, the reformer, who altered the teachings of Moses, demand the sacrifice of the cow and the calf and for their blood to fall upon everyone's head, especially their children. The sacred cow is the symbol of the Divine Mother Isis, whom no mortal has ever yet unveiled. The twice-born form the solar race, the solar nation. The people of the solar race would never assassinate a sacred cow. The twice-born are children of the sacred cow. Chapter 29 of Exodus is pure and legitimate black magic. In said chapter unjustly attributed to Moses, the ritualistic ceremony of cattle sacrifice is minutely described. The lunar race mortally hates the sacred cow. The solar race adores the sacred cow. HPB really saw a 5-legged cow. The 5th leg came out of her back, with it she scratched herself, scared away the flies, etc. Said cow was led by a young man of the Sadhu sect, in the land of Hindustan. The 5-legged cow is the guardian of the lands and temples of the jinas. The Prakriti, the Divine Mother, develops in the solar man, the power which permits him to enter the lands of the jinas, in their palaces, temples, in the gardens of the gods. The only thing that separates us from the land of jinas' enchantments and marvels is a great stone that we should learn how to move. The Kabbalah is the science of the cow Vaka. By reading the 3 syllables of the word Kabbalah in reverse, we have La Vazika. The stone of Kaaba in the Mecca read in reverse is Vaka, cow, or the stone of the cow. The great sanctuary of Kaaba is really the sanctuary of the Ka. The Prakriti in man is fecundated with the sacred fire and becomes the 5-legged sacred cow. Surah 68 of the Quran is marvelous. It talks about the members of the cow as something extraordinary, capable of even resurrecting the dead, or in other words, lunar men, intellectual animals, in order to lead them to the primitive light of the solar religion. We, Gnostics, adore the sacred cow, we worship the Divine Mother. With the help of the sacred five-legged cow, we can enter the temples of the gods with the physical body in the jhana state. If the student meditates profoundly on the five-legged cow, on the Divine Mother, and implores her to place his physical body in the jhana state, he can succeed. The important thing is to rise from the bed without losing drowsiness, like a somnambulist. The placing of the physical body in the fourth dimension is something extraordinary, something marvelous, and this is only possible with the help of the sacred five-legged cow. We need to totally develop the sacred cow within ourselves, in order to accomplish marvels arid, the prodigies of the jhana science. The Divine Mother is very close to her Son. She is within the very inner self of each of us, and it is of her, precisely of her, that we should ask for help in the difficult moments of existence. There are three types of foods: sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. Sattvic foods are constituted of flowers, grains, fruits, and that which is called love. Rajasic foods are strong, passionate, excessively hot, too salty, exaggeratedly sweet, etc. Tamasic foods are in reality constituted by blood and red meat. They do not have love. They are bought and sold or are offered with vanity, pride, and haughtiness. Eat what is necessary in order to live, neither too little nor in excess. Drink pure water, bless foods. Virgo is the zodiacal sign of the Virgin Mother of the world. It is the house of Mercury. Its minerals are the jasper and the emerald. In practice, we have been able to verify that Virgo natives are unfortunately quite excessively reasoning, beyond the normal, and skeptical by nature. Reason, the intellect, is very necessary, but when they come out of their orbit, they are then very harmful. The natives of Virgo are good in science, psychiatry, medicine, naturism, the laboratory, pedagogy, etc., etc., etc. The natives of Virgo cannot get along with Pisces people, and that is why we advise them to avoid marriages with Piscean people. The most lamentable thing of Virgo people is the inertia and skepticism which characterizes them. However, it is interesting to know that tense inertia tends to go from the material to the spiritual, up to where it is accessible through experience. The critical analytical talent of Virgo is formidable, and among the great geniuses of this sign is Goethe, who succeeded in transcending the material, inertia, and entered high scientific spirituality. Nonetheless, all Virgo natives are not Goethe. Ordinarily, the materialists, atheists, and enemies of everything that smells of spirituality abound among the mediocre of this sign. The egotism of the mediocre people of Virgo is something too grotesque and repugnant, but the Goethe of Virgo are genial and highly altruistic and profoundly disinterested. The natives of Virgo suffer in love and undergo great deceptions, due to the fact that Venus, the star of love, in Virgo, is in exile. Chapter 7, Libra. Upon creating the intransigent dogma of evolution, the decrepit Western mind totally forgot the destructive processes of nature. It is interesting that the degenerated mind cannot conceive the inverse, involutive process on a large scale. The mind, in a state of decrepitude, confuses a fall with a descent and the process of destruction, dissolution on a large scale, degeneration, etc. It classifies as change, progress, evolution. Everything evolves and involutes, ascends and descends, comes and goes, fluxes and refluxes, asystole and diastole exists in everything, in accordance with the law of the pendulum. Evolution and its twin sister involution are two laws which are developed and processed in a coordinated and harmonious manner in everything created. Evolution and involution constitute the mechanical axis of nature. Evolution and involution are two mechanical laws of nature which have nothing to do with the self-realization of man. The inner self-realization of man can never be the product of any mechanical law, but rather the result of a conscious work carried out upon and within oneself, on the basis of tremendous super-efforts, in-depth comprehension, and intentional voluntary sufferings. Everything returns to the point of departure, and the lunar ego returns after death to a new womb. It is written that every human being is assigned 108 lives to become self-realized. Time is running out for many persons. Whoever does not attain self-realization within his allotted time ceases to be born, to enter the infernal worlds. In support of the law of involution or retrogression comes the Bhagavad Gita, saying, "They, the evil, cruel and ungrateful, I cast them perpetually into the Asuraic, demoniac, wombs, in order for them to be born in these worlds, infernal worlds." Oh, Countria, those hallucinated people go to the demoniac wombs during many lives and continue falling into more and more inferior bodies each time, involution. Triple is the door of that destructive inferno. It is made up of lust, anger, and covetousness. That is why it should be abandoned. The anteroom of the infernal worlds is the involutive descent into bodies more and more inferior each time, in accordance with the law of involution. Those who descend through the spiral of life fall into demonic wombs during several lives before entering the infernal worlds of nature, situated according to Dante within the interior of the terrestrial organism. In the second chapter we spoke about the sacred cow and its deep significance. It is very interesting that every Brahmin in India, when praying the rosary, counts 108 beads of the latter. There are Hindus who do not consider their sacred duties fulfilled if they do not walk 108 times around the principal cow, and if they do not fill a cup with water and place it for a moment on the cow's tail, and drink it as the most sacred and delicious divine liquor. It is urgent to remember that Buddha's necklace has 108 beads. All of this invites us to reflect on the 108 lives which are assigned to the human being. It is clear that the person who does not take advantage of those 108 lives joins the involution of the infernal worlds. Infernal involution is a fall backwards, towards the past, passing through all the animal, vegetable, and mineral states, through frightful suffering. The last stage of the infernal involution is the fossil state, after which follows the disintegration of the lost ones. The only thing that is saved from all of that tragedy, the only thing that does not disintegrate is the essence, the Buddhata, that fraction of human soul that the intellectual animal carries within his lunar bodies. Involution in the infernal worlds precisely has as objective the liberation of the Buddhata, the human soul, in order for it to reinitiate its evolutive ascent from the original chaos through the mineral, vegetable, and animal rungs, until it reaches the level of intellectual animal mistakenly called man. It is lamentable that so many souls relapse and return again and again to the infernal worlds. Time in the infernal worlds of the submerged mineral kingdom is frighteningly slow and boring. For every frightfully long 100 years in those atomic infernos of nature, one pays a certain quantity of karma. The one who totally disintegrates in the infernal worlds is even with the law of karma. After the death of the physical body, every human being, after having reviewed the life that just passed, is judged by the lords of karma. The lost enter the infernal worlds after their good and bad deeds have been placed on the scales of cosmic justice. The law of the scale, the terrible law of karma, governs everything created. Every cause becomes an effect, and every effect is transformed into a cause. By modifying the cause, one modifies the effect. Do good deeds in order for you to pay your debts. The lion of the law is combated with the scales. If the plate of the bad deeds weighs more, I advise you to increase the weight on the plate of the good deeds. In this manner you will incline the balance in your favor. The one who has capital with which to pay, pays, and comes out well in business. The one who does not have capital shall pay with pain. When an inferior law is transcended by a superior law, the superior law washes the inferior law. Millions of persons speak about the laws of reincarnation and karma, without having experienced in a direct manner their deep significance. Really, the lunar ego returns, re-embodies, penetrates a new womb, but that cannot be called reincarnation. Speaking with precision, we will say that that is return. Reincarnation is something else. Reincarnation is only for masters, for sacred individuals, for the twice-born, for those who already possess the being. The lunar ego returns, and in accordance with the law of recurrence, it repeats in each life the same actions, the same dramas of preceding lives. The spiral line is the line of life, and each life is either repeated in more elevated evolutive spirals or in lower involutive spirals. Each life is a repetition of the past one, plus its good or bad, pleasant or unpleasant consequences. In a resolved and definitive manner, many persons descend from life to life on the involutive spiral line, until finally entering the infernal worlds. The one who wants to attain in-death self-realization should liberate himself from the vicious circle of the evolutive and involutive laws of nature. The one who truly wants to come out of the intellectual animal state, the one who truly and sincerely wants to become a true man, should free himself from the mechanical laws of nature. Everyone who wants to become a twice-born, everyone who wants inner self-realization, should enter the path of the revolution of consciousness. This is the path of the razor's edge. This path is full of dangers within and without. The Dhammapada says, among men, few are the ones who reach the other shore. The others wander on this shore, from one side to the next. Jesus the Christ says, of 1,000 who seek me, one finds me. Of 1,000 who find me, one follows me. Of 1,000 who follow me, one is mine. The Bhagavad Gita says, among thousands of men, perhaps one strives to reach perfection. Among the strivers, possibly one achieves perfection, and among the perfect, perhaps one knows me perfectly. The divine Rabbi of Galilee never said that the law of evolution would take all human beings to perfection. Jesus, in the four Gospels, places emphasis on the difficulty of entering the kingdom. Strive to enter in at the strait gate, for many, I say unto you, will seek to enter in, and shall not be able. When once the master of the house is risen up, and hath shut to the door, and ye begin to stand without, and to knock at the door, saying, Lord, Lord, open unto us, and he shall answer and say unto you, I know you not whence ye are. Then shall ye begin to say, We have eaten and drunk in thy presence, and thou hast taught in our streets. But he shall say, I tell you, I know you not whence ye are, depart from me, all you workers of iniquity. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth, when ye shall see Abraham, and Isaac, and Jacob, and all the prophets in the kingdom of God, and you yourselves thrust out. The law of natural selection exists in everything created, not all students who enroll in a faculty graduate as professionals. Jesus Christ never said that the law of evolution would lead all human beings to the final goal. Some pseudo-esotericists and pseudo-occultists say that one reaches God through many paths. This is really a sophism with which they always want to justify their own errors. The great Hierophant Jesus Christ only pointed out a single door and a single path. Because strait is the gate, and narrow is the way, which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. The gate and the path are sealed by a great stone. Happy is he who can roll away that stone, but that is not a matter of this lesson, that belongs to the lesson of Scorpio. We are now studying the zodiacal sign of the balance, the sign of Libra. We need to become conscious of our own karma, and that is only possible by means of the state of alert novelty. Every effect of life, every event, has its cause in a previous life, but we need to become conscious of that. Every moment of happiness or pain should be continued in meditation with a still mind and in profound silence. The result comes to be the experience of the same event in a previous life. We then become conscious of the cause of the act, whether it be pleasant or unpleasant. The one who awakens consciousness can travel in his internal bodies outside the physical body, with full conscious will, and study his own book of destiny. In the temple of Anubis and his 42 judges, the initiate can study his own book. Anubis is the supreme ruler of karma. The temple of Anubis is found in the molecular world, called the astral world by many people. The initiates can directly negotiate with Anubis. We can pay every karmic debt with good deeds, but we have to negotiate with Anubis. The law of karma, the law of the cosmic balance, is not a blind law. One can also ask for credit from the lords of karma, but every credit must be paid with good deeds, and if not paid, then the law collects with pain. Libra, the zodiacal sign of the balance, governs the kidneys. Libra is the sign of the equilibrating forces, and in the kidneys, the forces of our organism should balance in a complete manner. Stand up, in a military position of attention, and then with the arms extended in the form of a cross or scale, move in the form of a scale, inclining 7 times to the right and 7 to the left with the intention that all of your energies become equilibrated in the kidneys. The movement of the upper half of the spinal column should be like that of a scale. The forces that ascend from the earth passing by the sieve of our feet along the entire organism should become equilibrated at the waist, and this is carried out successfully with the balancing movement of Libra. Libra is governed by Venus and Saturn, its metal is copper, and its stone is the chrysolite. In practice, we have been able to verify that the natives of Libra usually have, in their majority, a certain imbalance in matters related to conjugal life, to love. The natives of Libra create many problems for themselves due to their manner of being frank and just. Libra people of good aspect like things straight and just. People do not understand Libra people well. The latter sometimes appear cruel and merciless. They do not know or want to know about diplomacy. Hypocrisy bothers them. Sweet words of the perverse easily upset them instead to softening them. Libra people have the defect of not knowing how to forgive their fellow men. They want to see the law in nothing but the law in everything, often forgetting mercy. Libra natives like to travel very much and are persons who faithfully fulfill their duties. Libra natives are what they are and nothing but what they are, frank and just. People usually become angry with the natives of Libra. They are interpreted erroneously due to that manner of being, and as is natural, ill is spoken of them, and they usually fill themselves up with unwarranted enemies. The Libra person cannot be approached with double plays. That is not tolerated and forgiven by the Libra person. One has to always be friendly and kind or always severe with Libra people, but never with that sweetness and harshness, because the Libra person never tolerates and never forgives that. The superior type of Libra always confers total chastity. The inferior type of Libra is very fornicating and adulterous. The superior type of Libra has a certain spirituality that spiritualists do not understand and erroneously judge. The negative inferior type of Libra has dazzling and loquacious, versatile people. He likes to always place himself in the limelight, attract the attention of the whole world. The superior type of Libra wants to always live anonymously and unknown, never feels any attraction for fame, for laurels, for prestige. The superior type of Libra reveals sensibleness and the sense of foresight and thrift. The inferior type of Libra has much superficiality and covetousness. In the medium type of Libra, many qualities and defects of the superior and inferior types of Libras usually mix. Marriage with Pisces people is convenient for the natives of Libra. Libra natives like to do deeds of charity without expecting a reward or boasting or publishing the service done. The superior type of Libra loves select music, takes pleasure in it and enjoys it to a maximum degree. Libra people also feel attraction